Okay, Ramblers, let's get rambling.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Dr. Nick.
Happy Monday to you all. I am Some Dumb Guy, and welcome to episode 16 of SumDumWatch for the week of January 13th through January 19th. This is my weekly program where I break down what I have watched from my physical media library, as well as any theatrical viewings I attended. So let's get the ball rolling now, shall we? Starting out, we have a kitty crossing. Here she is. We need to say hello to the kitty. She make her cameo. There's the sugar. Say hi, sugar. Wave. 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 Hi. Little girl. Here you go. Scream out. We're going to start by removing kitty fur from the face. I did something I didn't think I would. I think I'm kind of on a mission in a sense. I'm a nonconformist by nature. I'm trying to also understand the hype, I guess. On last week's show, I presented Batman Begins, and I am of the contention, much to my own chagrin and in opposition to a vast majority of fans, that is the only good film in the trilogy. I still hold that position very strongly. But I went ahead and continued on because I do have this. We have The Dark Knight on 4K. I have a lot of problems with this movie. A lot. Pluck Heath Ledger out of the narrative. His performance. There's not a lot there, guys. It's just, I'm sorry, there's not. The film is very poorly paced. It goes from being rushed at a breakneck pace in the beginning to haltingly slow. It's all over the place. It's disjointed. I feel that the character interactions that have been brought from the first film into the second are no longer consistent in a way that I find difficult to describe, which doesn't help my case with trying to explain convincingly to anybody why this movie is so inferior to the one that came before it. However, this time in rewatching it, I assessed a few things. First and foremost, the time gap between the two films. I still don't know what that is. I don't know if it comes immediately after, or there's a time period of months or a year or whatever. It's always bothered me that was so ill-defined, because it would inform a lot of the development or the change that you see from one film to the next, but not knowing if it's an immediately follow-up or even so much as a year later makes it tough for me. Secondly, I hate the bat suit redesign. Most specifically, the way the cowl and the neck ties into the rest of the body. And it really comes down probably to Batman's mouth opening. Maybe I'll try to put an image here. It's too small, and the tightness around the neck makes Batman's head in the cowl look big. It's very disconcerting to me. There's too much busyness going on here in the chest-torso region, which all but wipes out the Batman's emblem. It's lost in all the busy details and such, whereas the original suit, nice and defined, large, unobstructed in the torso, the chest pectoral region, right? Lastly, I hate the new Bat voice. I found the voice in Batman Begins almost perfect. It was subtle, was quiet, except for when it needed to be something else. It was just enough to disguise Bruce Wayne's voice. This... Where's the trigger? Where's the trigger? Sugar, where's the trigger? She's looking at me like I'm crazy, see? It's grating. It gets on my nerves. That all being said, I did find a small amount of, I don't even know how to describe it, catharsis, maybe, where I didn't, this is the first time I've watched this film. This is probably maybe the fourth time. Saw it in the theater, opening night, regrettably, to a complete sold-out crowd that contained two very loud ladies who decided it was a good idea, a good location to have a conversation throughout the entire film at normal volume. And nobody called them out on it until 3/4 of the way through the film, where I freaking lost my shit and started screaming at them. I thought that took away my enjoyment from the film. I thought that was why I hated it, because I had a negative experience. But as soon as it came out on home media, I rented it from Netflix, got the DVD in the mail, rewatched it. No better. Well, I bought the 4K trilogy, went through them all, watched it again. Yeah, so this was time number 4 this last week, and just, I don't know, like I said, I don't hate it anymore. I still dislike it. I'm a little bit more forgiving of it, but I still maintain that Batman Begins is the only good film in the trilogy. Which, of course, brings me to the worst in the trilogy. The Dark Knight Rises. Ooh, I use that picture? Nope, it's a side view. It won't work. I have one good thing to say about this film. Well, 2 good things to say about this film. First, Anne Hathaway is freaking smoking hot in this. She looks sexy as hell throughout the whole thing. Third, second, the only other compliment I can give has absolutely nothing to do with the film, but everything to do with this particular release of the film. And I say that because when I got this 4K and I watched it, saw this in the theater, rented it on DVD from Netflix when it came out to give it a second chance like I did the other, I couldn't understand 3/4 of Bane's dialogue. It was gibberish. It was mumbo jumbo, and I know a lot of people had that problem. Whatever was done on this 4K release to clarify, to enhance, to bring out whatever, I was able to understand every single word he said. The last time I watched, when I rented on DVD, I had to watch it with the subtitles on to get his dialogue. Didn't have that experience, obviously, in the theater. But this time on the 4K, crystal clear. So kudos to whoever managed that on an audio, since you're a servant of the people. Thank you. This movie is still terrible. The logistics of it don't work on any level throughout, from the stupid prison to the stupid ending of Batman flying off with the alleged broken autopilot that's not actually broken, but still managing to escape a nuclear detonation with a 6-mile radius, even though we see him in his little Batwing thing, whatever, stupid gyrocopter. He's still in that thing less than 30 seconds before it explodes. We see him in it less than 30 seconds before it explodes. To say nothing of the fact that he didn't actually travel away from Gotham far enough to save Gotham from a nuclear blast of a 6-mile radius that was promoted to been occurring. I have problems with him jumping back into the game. 7 years since Batman went into retirement, 7 years after the ending of, which they defined, of The Dark Knight. We know that Bruce Wayne has been in hiding as a recluse for approximately 4 years. We know that his body is broken up. Is that all because of his fall at the end of The Dark Knight when he takes out Two-Face? Did that one fall completely destroy his body? Because, yeah, he stumbled away as he was running to get away from the cops at the end of that film. And yeah, we saw him take some damage. We saw some beating, some scars, and so forth and so on in the films preceding this one. But I don't think any of that cumulatively explains his condition at the beginning of the film. That he's walking around with a cane, that the doctor says he has no cartilage in his knees, he's brought this whole list of inadequacies and flaws in his body. And yet his remedy is one device on one knee that allows him to function and kick and break a brick wall. He does nothing to physically train himself prior to getting back into the game. He's just boom, right back in shape and functioning, everything else. I mean, all the problems that he has just all of a sudden go away. That's bad enough. But after his defeat from Bane and getting sent to this prison, he functions perfectly fine. He's not going to have his knee brace with him there. There's no reason to think he still has it. And yet, physically, he functions just fine. Again, all the logistical stuff, right? None of it works. How does he get back? How does he get anywhere after escaping this little prison pit of his? We don't know. How does he get back to Gotham? We don't know. How does he get into Gotham? We don't know. Okay, yeah, because he's Batman. It's just not enough. I'm sorry. His Batwing thing sitting on top of a building under a freaking tarp for months. 5 total, right? Nobody stumbled across this thing. Nobody did anything with it in all that time, just sitting there. I don't buy that either. I'm sure I have more issues with this film than what I broke down here. Of course, as I'm watching the film, they're screaming at me as it goes along. But days later, they don't always all stick with me. So, blah, 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 boo. And also going to say, these two together, title-wise, okay, fine. These two together with Batman Begins, what is the deal with titling movies in a franchise where the titles don't denote any kind of order or continuity between them? Batman Begins, not a great title, but by itself, okay, you understand it's a first film. The Dark Knight doesn't sound like a sequel. The Dark Knight Rises sounds like a sequel to The Dark Knight. So you get this Batman Begins as this stupid oddity title. It just doesn't work. Should have started it with The Dark Knight, then The Dark Knight Rises, and then whatever, The Dark Knight Reloaded. I don't know. Stupid. This video is getting too long. Next up, last movie from my Frank Capra collection, my weekly entry that I provide. This is the 8th title in this particular box set. This one here is Rain or Shine, starring Michael Knowles, conservative commentator, YouTuber, and podcaster. And yes, I say that as a joke, but not really, because this film was made in 1930. And it is a story of, let me see if we can get some focus, a traveling circus show. And this one is essentially a slapstick comedy. Mostly all comedic dialogue, witty, very fast-paced. Ordinarily, that wouldn't be a problem for me, but because we're still fairly primitive in audio capacity in 1930 when it comes to film, I know that was still largely being experimented with. I think it made it a little bit difficult to follow, difficult to understand. It's still good, but this film here didn't... This is only the second one in the 8 so far that I've watched in this box set to not completely suck me in. Which, all things considered, is not bad. I didn't dislike the movie at all. I still liked it. I still enjoyed it. It just as I saw it, so 2 out of 8 so far. So 25% of these films so far have not completely gripped me. That's okay. They've still all been really good. I've all enjoyed them. Where this film hooked me, actually, was the 3rd act. And it's not a long film. It's like an hour and 38 minutes. It goes from complete slapstick to tragic, like that. And it does a lot throughout, but particularly here, I'm going to call it experimenting with new filming techniques and situations and environments, because I don't know necessarily that it is new and experimental, but just Mr. Capra's experience here, just his filmography here at Columbia, watching the progression through these 8 films, which so far started from 1928 through 1930. So 8 films in a 2-year period. You can see a progression, and you can see him trying new things, experimenting with new things, trying new filming techniques, new types of environments that, because it's such a new industry, they're having to learn how to, work it or whatever. So you can see and appreciate that. And that manifests itself largely at this third act, this real tragic sense and everything else. What was kind of odd, though, is as soon as that is over, 2 jarring things happen. One, it jumps right back into slapstick mode for a couple of minutes. And it's almost all conversational, with the exception of some circus act routines. All slapstick dialogue. I wish I had a frame of reference to compare it to. It was fine. It re-engaged me. It made me laugh, which is cool. And then it just drops. The movie it ends. There's no sense of finality to it. There's no sense of closure. Nothing whatsoever occurs to wrap up the story. It's just gone. And that was my biggest disappointment with the film. Once again, the female lead in this film, Joan Piers, absolutely gorgeous, which I could say this for, I think, 8 out of 8 have all had an absolutely gorgeous female lead. They have. I guess I have something about the women of this particular era. I don't know. But each film has had at least, no, not at least, just one lady who is just like, ooh, hello. Anyway, moving on. And as another follow-up to my Seinfeld 4K set unboxing that I did a few weeks ago, we're continuing on. We're about halfway through season 3 of Seinfeld on 4K. A nice little episode list on the back of each case, which I am incredibly appreciative of when they do this. I prefer this over booklets and inserts. That's really cool they did this. I have just finished disc 2 out of 3. So episodes 15 to 16, which are 2-parter. Overall, blurriness. Overall, this presentation looks great. Sounds great. I have some glitchy issues that happen sporadically when transitioning from the episode menu to an actual episode. That little FBI warning that sometimes pops up, the little FBI logo, it'll come up on the screen, but it'll be like over here, and it'll kind of jump, and then it'll shrink, and then it'll go away. If I get to the end of an episode and I fast forward through the credits instead of just letting them play out, when it gets to the end, it jumps to the multi-language disclaimers and warnings and such that you typically find at the very end of a disc after all the episodes have played. For some reason, if I fast forward at any episode, it'll play that. Whereas if I let it play through, it'll just go through the credits, stop, go back to menu. None of those things take away from the viewing experience. They're inconsequential. The one issue that I do have so far that is, it's becoming a problem for my eyes, and I've tried to address this in the Blu-ray.com forums on the set to see if I'm the only one that seems to be experiencing this, and so far I am. Reds. The color red on screen is so vibrant and it pops out with such intensity, it's almost painful to my eyes. Particularly in season 3, Jerry Seinfeld's stand-up routines that's bookend the episodes beginning and end. There's some red curtains behind him on stage. Those things practically glow. I can't look directly at them. And on the tables of the audience, there's like red lamps. Those glow. Jerry often wears red shirts and or jackets. There's one red shirt in particular. It's red with some pattern like green or something in it. That thing just, when they're at Monk's Cafe, all of the red ketchup bottles that are on the tables in the restaurant, those things practically glow. I don't understand what it is. I don't have this problem with anything else I watch on 4K where the reds have just been just so blatantly in your face that they, like I said, practically glow and jump off the screen. I don't know what's causing that. Nobody else can collaborate it. I don't know what the deal is. I don't know, but I'm hoping it doesn't continue because it's gotten to the point where I almost look for it, but then when I find it, I have to avert my eyes. So it's like I can't like half pay attention to the screen. I'm like watching it, but not directly until the color goes away. Something happens. So other than that, so far so good. It's great. I'm loving revisiting. As always, until we're not, continuing on Star Trek Enterprise with my complete series here. I just finished episode 3 of season 4, so we have moved on from the Xindi arc, moved on through the little time travel series 4 or season 4 premiere, the little World War II alternative reality tie-in. Got through that, and I'm now settled into episode Home, I think it's called, where Captain Archer is experiencing his PTSD from the last year of hell and the xenophobia on Earth affecting Dr. Phlox, as well as T'Pol and Commander Tucker going to Vulcan for a little R&R and Paul getting married. So I think after this episode starts the multi-episode arcs that encompass the rest of the season. Last but not least, my theatrical viewing for the week. On Thursday, I went on premiere day and saw this blurry thing here, which is the new Wolfman film. There's currently a review up on my channel for this. It is my film review debut, a focused video where I talk about only one title and go through it, give my thoughts, the synopsis, so forth and so on. Thought about trying to incorporate this into my channel and make it a regular thing. We'll see if it sticks. So far, view count has been decent for the size of my channel. However, there's been no interaction one way or the other. So at least partly being watched, but that's about it. Might play with it a little bit. We'll see what happens. I might continue on as is with new releases. I might do some older film releases, or I might just do little back catalog stuff and play with the idea, put it out there. And the film review doesn't necessarily have to be new to be relevant, right? That's it. This one's long. I rambled on about some of these titles a little bit more than I'm accustomed to. Sorry if that bothers you. Yay, thank you if it doesn't. Gonna start my new ranking for 2024 theatrical re-releases. I've got my list put together, and it's time to start putting those to video and get that rolling. So thank you for joining me once again, and I shall see you all next week. What did you think of anything I watched? Have you seen anything I watched? You have comments about my opinions or about the titles themselves? Please fill word boxes below with words. Take care. Bye-bye.